You probably might have heard Lucifer was once a glorious angel before becoming a devil. According to the sacred scriptures, God created him, and everything God created was good. So it's natural to ask how Lucifer became evil. But what was his offense? Moreover, if God is truly merciful, why couldn't he forgive him? Just before you jump to a conclusion, watch this video to the end, as all these questions will be answered shortly. First, who is Lucifer? According to Acts 17, verse 24, and Psalm 104, verse 4, when God created the world and everything in it, He also created the angels. These celestial beings have different roles and characteristics, but their primary mission is to worship God and minister to His people. Lucifer was one of these celestial beings. He was a magnificent angel. In Ezekiel 28, verses 11 through 13, the prophet describes him as an epitome of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. He was covered in precious stones, talk of almond, beryl, onyx, jasper, sapphire, emerald. You just name it, Lucifer was flawless. Even his name was the most prestigious in the entire universe. Isaiah 14, verse 12, describes Lucifer as the son of the morning, possibly referring to what we now call the morning star. Lucifer was the light bearer in heaven because the Creator initially created him to reflect His glory, which is proof that the devil we know today was not initially created by God in this wicked form. In fact, this radiant angel once walked in the Garden of Eden and had direct communication with God until a fateful day when everything changed. His beauty and splendor got into his head, and what was once his admirable qualities and attributes became the catalyst of his downfall. Lucifer became so impressed and obsessed with his beauty, position, intelligence, and power that he aspired to become equal or greater than God. How can a creation aim to be better than its creator when it's not an AI? Only recently have we begun discussing the possibility of artificial intelligence attaining consciousness and surpassing the intelligence of its human creators. Lucifer's desire began to extend to seeking the honor and glory that belonged to God. But what more did he want? He already had so much. He was known as the guardian cherub, a title of great weight. In the sacred scripture, cherubim are portrayed as mighty and majestic angelic beings who surround God's throne. No other angel held so many titles or received such praise in the scriptures, not even the 24 elders. If it were simply a figment of his imagination, he could have been forgiven. However, he went beyond that and was cursed. But what did he do? What was this terrible sin that made God curse him? If you read the Bible, you'll notice that everything was going smoothly in the beginning, and God was pleased with His creations until Genesis chapter 3. Suddenly, we found Satan disguised as a serpent, luring Eve to sin. So between the events of Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 3, something must have happened. Ezekiel 28, verses 12 through 15, describes how he remained perfect in his ways until sin was found in him. Lucifer became unreasonably proud. This sense of arrogance was the beginning of sin in the universe, right after the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden. Bible scholars recount that shortly after the creation of the world, Lucifer arose and led a huge army in heaven to rebel against God. After a fierce war, the archangel Michael defeated them. In response, God intentionally created a prison called Hell and cast them all into it. After this fall, Lucifer transformed into Satan, filled with evil. The fallen angels, those who were on his side, also underwent a similar transformation and became demons from that time to this day. They never stopped fighting against the good works of God ever since. No wonder Satan was in the garden to tempt Eve and busy roaming the earth till he noticed Job. His relentless desire for control and supremacy led him to tempt Jesus in the wilderness, all because he seeks to control the souls of men corrupt them, and destroy the world. Revelation chapter 22, verse 16 also confirms Satan's evil plan. He said to himself, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zephon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." Satan already had access to heaven, but he wanted more. He wanted to raise his throne above the stars of God. The meaning of this sentence depends on how you interpret the word stars of God. If it means the angels, then Satan seeks to rule over all the angels. If you interpret it as the heavenly bodies, he desires to rule the heavens. However, no matter how you interpret it, Satan wanted to be like God. His sin was a direct challenge to the power and authority of God, a wicked and unspeakable act. Considering his high status, intelligence, and the great privileges he possessed, he was a strong contender for God's throne, and if nothing was done, he could do worse things. His sin carried even greater consequences due to its massive influence on angels and humans. Though every sin has consequences and can affect others, sins committed by those in positions of power carry even greater weight and bring about more far-reaching consequences. Even after his defeat, God knew he could still come up with a more terrible scheme, so he had sent him and his cohorts to hell. What a shame! A once glorious angel became a fallen entity. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning! How you are cut down to the ground, you who weakened the nations. See Isaiah 14, verse 12. So do you think God's judgment on Lucifer was too harsh? Remember, Lucifer was not satisfied with worshiping God. Instead, he wanted to be worshipped. He wanted to understand why he wasn't given such power, considering all his unmatched qualities, and why he was obliged to worship God. He became more and more resentful and jealous, and wondered why other angels couldn't worship him rather than God. Frustrated and angry, he declared war in heaven, determined to find the solutions he wanted, even if it meant destroying God and heaven in the process. Finally, he was cast down from heaven. He did not fall alone. According to Scripture, he took with him 1/3 of the angels. These angels left their primary purpose to team up with God's rival. These angels decided to rebel against God and challenge his authority in order to attain power and independence for themselves. They firmly believed that they were entitled to greater freedom and authority than what God was willing to grant them. Another reason why these angels joined Lucifer was their desire to be equal to God. They wanted to be perceived as equal to God and have the autonomy to make their own choices without reliance on Him. They longed for the freedom to chart their own paths. Unfortunately, they were no match for God's overwhelming power and were swiftly defeated. It is worth noting that the angelic host is an immense group, numbering more than 10,000 multiplied by 10,000. See Revelation 5, verse 11. Considering the number of angels in heaven, the fallen angels, or demons, are over hundreds of thousands. The sad truth is, these malicious entities continue to exist and exert their influence in the world. These demons are out there, and their ultimate aim, as Jesus rightly said, is to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10, verse 10. Adam and Eve were unaware of Lucifer's cunning plan, and they fell into his temptations by eating the forbidden fruit. It was through this act that sin, the devil's nature, entered the world, and man was chased from the presence of God. It was Lucifer's way to prove to God that he was more powerful than God and could also control humanity. He succeeded, but never succeeded with the second Adam, who came to redeem humanity to God. We'll wrap up today's video at this point, and hopefully all your questions have been answered. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.